but I didn't experience a ghost until the summer after my senior year in high school. My parents bought this investment property in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania.
Which is where I am now.
Oh, no, you're like kind of close to Pittsburgh. That's like a place. Like you can see lights and stuff. This place, have you ever heard of like mailing addresses that are RR and then a box number?
No.
RR is for rural route, and it's for these long winding roads. And the box number is the number of the actual mailbox on that road. Like there's like they just bypass the whole number, street name, and like house number, because there aren't any, because these houses are like at the closest a mile apart. Okay, so I don't know how they found this property, but they got in touch with a realtor who said that it was a couple that was divorcing and just wanted to sell the property right away, cheap. So
this is how terrible movies start.
Yeah, this is how every terrible movie starts. It's like, wow, what a bargain. So they didn't actually, I mean, they looked at it, but they made me live there. They made me live there to take care of the property.
By yourself?
Yeah, by myself. And this was like an old farmhouse. It didn't have, there's no like heating system. Like I had to shovel coal into the furnace in the basement, in the dirt basement, to get hot water. And sometimes the water would clog a little bit. So I had to climb up this mountain and clear debris away from the drain so that water, spring water, could come through the pipes back to the house. Like the stairs, it was a 2-floor house. The stairs were a little uneven because they were all hewn by hand. There was an outhouse on the property, but thank God that there was an actual toilet installed at some point in the house and electricity. So my very first night there, it's just like me, some really bare furniture in my second floor room, and like the rest of the house is empty. There's nothing in there. And then it's like, it gets dark really early in the country. And when it gets dark in this part of nowhere, Pennsylvania, it's like completely pitch black, and the moon looks like a bare light bulb. So my very first night there, it's like dark. It's like 9:30. And then I hear this snoring coming from this room right across the hall. And at first I was like, man, this got to be some kind of joke or something, right? So I just walk into that room, I stick my head in, and the snoring stops. And I was like, oh, I'm just hearing things. I go back to my room, and I hear the snoring start again. And it's not like a regular kind of thing. It's not like click clock. It's like, it's human. It's like slightly uneven. You hear it going. Yeah. And I went back to check again. I stick my head in and it stops. And when I come back to my room, I can hear it again. So at that point, I put on like one of the greatest rock records ever, Raw Power by Iggy and the Stooges. And I play that whole first side, and to see if I can somehow dissipate it or whatever. But sure enough, needles, hitting the record label. It's like, and I just lay there and I was thinking, oh my God, so I'm not actually going to get to college. I'm going to die here. I'm just going to die here. I was going to go to New York. I did get into an Ivy League college. I was going to Columbia, but instead I'm going to die here. But the interesting thing about this situation, this haunting, is that it never it was never menacing. It was never mean. It was there was no negative vibe to it or anything. You know, if I heard like "get out," I would have been like running. I would have been running in the country. But instead, this thing was just, it was very peaceful. It was just snoring there. And, you know, whatever it was, whether it was like a farmhand who somehow was caught in an interdimensional kind of thing, or just a spirit that worked so hard it needed a rest, you know, it just had that restful kind of thing. So I listened to this thing snore, you know, through the whole night. And then early in the morning, there was a rooster that crowed in the distance and the snoring stopped.
Oh,
The
time to go to
snoring
work.
didn't happen. Yeah, right. And you know, the snoring, it didn't happen every night. It was probably like 2 or 3 times a night. But you know, I lived with it. I lived with a snoring ghost, and it, you know, just really early on, it gave me a lot of peace because it made me realize that there are a lot of things in life I wouldn't understand, that I have no need or no authority to even try to understand. And that has actually given me a lot of peace, because sometimes I'm just like, okay, I don't understand why this happened or why this person's acting that way. That's okay, you know.
Did you tell your parents about it?
Oh yeah, and you know how they are. You know, they're like Asian, very Asian response. Like, there's nothing. You didn't hear anything. I'm like, you want to come down here and like stay here? And they're like, no, there's nothing. There's nothing. But it's funny, you know. Later on, they sold the property. You know, it was, you know, after I lived there, it was empty. But you know, this is the area of Pennsylvania that had like that mega what do you call it, the fracking thing. Like, people
Yeah.
were buying up property without even looking at it, and so like,
Yeah.
so it functioned as an investment property.
Man. So were you just hearing the ghost at night and just snoring? No other
Yeah,
way.
no other thing, like no footsteps, no voices, no whistling, you know, no no other Iggy and the Stooges, but you know, just nothing. Nothing apart from the snoring. Nothing apart from the snoring.